Hello, ladies. I wanted to bring you a special greeting. I understand you're gathered today at a leadership meeting for Women of Vision, and Mion wanted me to bring a video greeting to your meeting because I couldn't be there in person. You know, I kind of hate these video things. As many years as I've been at World Vision, I still don't like being in front of the camera. And you'd think by now at World Vision we'd have a full makeup and costume department, but we don't, so you get me raw and uncut today. Reminds me of a story. Just last year I was on a CNN show with President Clinton and Richard Gere and a few other people, and CNN actually knows how to take care of their talent, and so they sent us all into makeup, and they had a makeup lady there who did everybody's makeup for the television, and I went in right after Richard Gere, and I told the makeup artist, I said, make me look like him. And she said, "Mister, I'm a makeup artist, I'm not a plastic surgeon." So that put my ego in check for that meeting, but you get me raw and uncut just the way I am today. But I did want to take the opportunity to just say thank you to all of you, especially those of you in leadership with Women of Vision chapters around the country. You really mean a lot to us at World Vision, but even more importantly, you mean so much to children and families around the world on whose behalf you are constantly advocating and fundraising and organizing, and all of your thousands and thousands of labor hours that you invest in World Vision are really making a difference in the lives of those kids and families. You know, I don't like to drop names, but I was on the phone today with Bono, and I serve on the board of the One campaign. And Bono wanted to address the board, and so we had a conference call today. And Bono talks a lot about a movement on behalf of the poor, and at World Vision we've come to talk a lot about a movement on behalf of the poor. And the thing about movements is that they're not undertaken by one person or one organization, but movements require large movements of people. The public need to get involved. Communities all across the country need to get involved. Women need to be talking about these issues. Men need to be talking about these issues. Young people and college students need to be involved. Our politicians need to be engaged. And Bono was just sharing how encouraged he's been seeing all of the rising tide of activities that are going on across the United States and across the world as voices are being raised up on behalf of the poorest of the poor. And we talk in movement terms about changing the direction of the wind. We've got to change the direction of the wind in our world. And like any other movement, a movement on behalf of civil rights back in the 1950s or 60s, or the environmental movement, which really started in earnest in the late 60s, early 70s, movements take time, but they also take a lot of people involved in the issues. And when I think of Women of Vision, I am really encouraged that you're part of this movement. I wish that we could be in every city of the United States advocating on behalf of the poor, on behalf of widows and orphans, on behalf of issues like HIV and AIDS and the way it impacts women and children. But we can't be in every city across the country. But where we have a Women of Vision chapter and we've got an active group organizing and talking and networking and holding events, it's almost like we have a World Vision office in that city. And you have no idea how your advocacy and your organizing makes a difference in the larger movement on behalf of the poor. So never underestimate what you're doing. Your activities have impact far beyond the fundraising that you do for World Vision. You're really advocates on behalf of the poor. I've also learned that your trips overseas are a real blessing to the people and communities that you visit. And it's always such an encouragement for people in difficult circumstances to receive visitors from another country, people that seem to care and have compassion for their circumstances, people that are willing to pause for a week and just share the lives of those that have stories to tell, and know that you're going to come back to your community and tell those stories to others. So you are making a difference. You know, I had a profound one of those moments, one of those aha moments early in my tenure at World Vision. My wife and I, Renee, traveled to Peru, and we went to a place 14,000 feet up in the Andes Mountains. I was about dying of altitude sickness. But this was, as they say, not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. And here I was, 10,000 miles from Seattle, 14,000 feet up in the Andes Mountains, and we went into the mud hut of a woman who had just lost her husband about 6 months earlier. She was a Peruvian peasant woman. She was raising 3 or 4 children, and she was just racked with despair. We were doing a video, actually. It was part of a World Vision video, and we often do before and after stories. You know, a community before World Vision comes and a community after World Vision has been there for a few years. This was one of those before stories, and this woman was really destitute and really desperate, and a World Vision project was moving into her area, and we interviewed her. And one of the questions I asked her, her name was Octaviana, I said, Octaviana, tell me what you've been praying for. When you pray, what do you pray for? And she looked at me, and through her translator, she said, I have been praying since my husband died that God would not forget me and my children on this mountain, that God would do something to send help because we so desperately need help. And when she said that, a chill went up my spine because I realized that her prayer had been answered. Not only did God send help, God sent the president of World Vision to come to her home 10,000 miles away from the Seattle office of World Vision. And I thought, wow, what an answer to prayer. But the other thing I thought about at that time is that if I was the answer to Octaviana's prayer, how many other women and children and fathers and mothers are praying around the world, praying in their circumstances, praying because they're refugees in Darfur, or praying because they're in the middle of Iraq with the insurgent violence, or they're praying because they're in the hunger and the famine situation in Zimbabwe, and they're praying that they'd be able to get through this week or this month and have enough food for their children. We know that people all over the world are praying. And, but the realization that each of us and each of you might be the answer to someone's prayer. And it might be somebody we'll never meet, or it might be someone we have the joy of actually meeting someday and realizing that we were the answer to that prayer. We were the one that God chose to respond to that child or that woman or that community. And when I think of Women of Vision, I think of all of you as the answer to so many prayers that go up around the world. So thank you for what you do. My wife, Renee, greatly appreciates all of you. She loves being with you when she gets an opportunity to come to your events and chapters and sometimes speak on behalf of World Vision. We really appreciate what you do. We don't take you for granted. I know we don't always serve you as well as we could, and we've got our own struggles with systems and those kinds of things, but we're working on those. And my dream would be that we would have 25 or 50 chapters of Women of Vision across the United States in the next few years, and that won't happen without leaders like you. So thank you, and God bless you.